you guys might want to go to university, and why some people might specifically want to go to the University of Oxford, and why you might want to go to the University of Oxford in the future. So there are many reasons why people go to university, and lots of people have lots of personal reasons, but some of them are quite similar, and we'll talk about a few of them here. So the first thing is they might really enjoy a subject. Now this might be a subject that they're studying at school, so something like English or something like biology or history or modern foreign language or something like that. But equally, it might be something which they like doing in their own time and they haven't had the opportunity to study at school yet. And they might want to look into that further at university. So something like earth sciences or history of art or another subject which you might not have heard of before. The main thing is though, they'll really enjoy studying a particular subject and they want to go and study it further. Think about your favourite subject and how about studying that for 3 or 4 years and only that subject. Because when you go to university, often you only study one subject, and that's why a lot of people decide to go. Another reason is they'll get to learn lots of new skills, and that can be things to do with your academic work. So for example, being able to write better essays if you're doing a humanities subject, or being able to get even better at maths problems or different equations and things like that. But equally, it can be other skills. So for example, making new friends, learning to live by yourself, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later. Now thirdly, some people go to university so they can graduate. When you finish university, you come out with a degree, which some people find really useful for their future lives. Now, that might be because they want to study a particular job, and that job might require you to have a particular degree. So, for example, if you want to become a doctor, you need to have studied medicine at university. Now, equally, there are lots of jobs which don't ask you to study a specific subject at university, but you might have to have a university degree in order to study it, and that university degree can be in any subject. So, for example, to become a lawyer, you don't need to have studied law at university, but it does require you to have a university degree in any subject. Now, the final reason, which I alluded to earlier, is perhaps people want to have a bit of a transition into adult life. When you go to university, you're living by yourself in student halls or accommodation, or you might be living out in a student house with some of your friends after your first year. But it's a really supportive environment, and the people that you're living with are also moving away from home potentially for the first time, and you get to kind of try things out together and work out how it goes. There are lots of members of staff to help you if you need it, but you will have to learn to do your washing by yourself and potentially cook and clean and do things like that. And university is a really supportive way of learning those new skills. Now, those are some of the general reasons why some people might want to go to university, but why do some people might especially want to go to the University of Oxford? Well, here are a couple of things that we thought of. So firstly, Oxford University is over 900 years old. That makes it the oldest university in the English-speaking world. Okay, that's pretty impressive. We've got some pretty impressive buildings to go with it. Some of them are over 900 years old, and some of them are a lot more modern and high-tech and up-to-date. So we've got a bit of a mix, but the kind of ancient and historical standing of the university is some reasons why some people might want to go. We've also been ranked #1 university in the world according to the Times Higher Education rankings for 4 years in a row now. So Oxford is really well known for its academic excellence for lots of different subjects, and if we offer one of the subjects which you might want to study, that's why some people want to study here, because we've been ranked #1 in the world, and that kind of academic excellence is something they really want to get their hands on. We also have over 23,000 students, so it makes us a relatively big university, but also small enough that everyone gets to kind of hang around in an Oxford University city as well. Oxford is actually one of the youngest cities in the UK, and that's because it's got a really large student population, not only from Oxford University, but also from Oxford Brookes University. And getting to know all those 23,000 students, or a couple of them, is one of the really cool things about going to university in general. We have over 100 libraries, which those 23,000 students can study in. So at Oxford University, we have the Bodleian Libraries, which is a copyright library in the UK. Now that means that if there's any book which has been published in the UK, Oxford University Bodleian Libraries has a copy of it. Now, that's really cool for 2 reasons. Firstly, if you need any book, you can just get it from us. Secondly, It means that you save a lot of money because you don't have to buy any books for yourself because the Bodleian libraries have it for you and you're able to access all of them. It also means that you've got some of those pretty cool historical buildings like you can see on the screen, but also some really modern ones which you might want to study in, and you get that choice to move around the city. Now finally, Oxford University is what we call a collegiate university. Now that means it's a university made up of colleges. Now colleges can get a little bit confusing, and often college refers to a sixth form college, or a college which is where you might go after finishing year 11. Now Oxford uses the same word, but it's not the same thing. Oxford University colleges are just smaller parts of the University of Oxford, and they're essentially students' home. So I'm an outreach officer at St Anne's College at the University of Oxford. Now you can't be part of a college and not part of the University of Oxford, and you can't be part of the University of Oxford without being part of a college. The way I like to think about it is a bit like some of you might be in year 7 at school. You can't be in year 7 if you're not at a school, but you also can't be at the school without being part of a year group. Okay, so it's just a smaller part within the broader university, and there are lots of videos online if you're interested in finding out more about Oxford University colleges, and if you just type it into YouTube, the University of Oxford has a fantastic video on it. Now, Oxford University colleges are really the home for students. It's a home away from home. It's where they live, it's where they eat, it's where they might have some of their teaching done too. And it really does become their home in Oxford. Lots of colleges have things which are special about them. St Anne's College, for example, got a pet tortoise. The tortoise is called Tortellini, and it's the student nominated each year to look after the tortoise. Surprisingly, quite a few colleges have pet tortoises, and they all run together in a tortoise race in the summer each year, and Tortellini, our tortoise, is one of the reigning champions. So those are some of the reasons why some people might want to go to university and why some people might want to go to Oxford University in particular. Now you might have lots of different reasons about why you might want to go to university, and you may not be sure yet, and that's absolutely okay. But these are just some of the things to give you a bit of insight and to start you thinking a bit further about different universities and Oxford University in particular.